Okay, I will talk about nuclear agreements, necro terrorists, and the MINKS agreement. Now you have this MINKS agreement where you signed agreement between European nations and Ukraine and Russia. Now Angela Merkel says MINKS agreements were done to buy time. So, I mean, talking about agreements, there was a nuclear agreement. That was MINKS agreement. Then we had this Boris Johnson. There was agreement. There was almost agreement between Russia and Ukraine. And Boris Johnson came and he vetoed it because there is an enmity between the British and the Russians. Some of the British establishment doesn't like Russia, and this comes about 200-300 years old. Now, if you take the nuclear agreements between Iran and the six nations, right? America and Germany and Russia and for nuclear agreements was signed by located Barack Obama, but he never lifted the sanctions. And then Donald Trump threw it away. So when Iran agreed to a nuclear agreement, it was unfavorable to Iran. So actually Iran made certain concessions. Okay. Then we have this Mark Rubio and Senator Paul, I forget his last name, and he asked from Mark Rubio, if somebody comes and captures Donald Trump, right, accuse him of narco-terrorism, then would America consider, I think it's Paul Rand or somebody, I can't remember his name, but a famous senator. Would you consider that to be an act of war? Mark Rubio wouldn't, he had no answer to that. Okay? So when it comes to this narco-terrorism, Americans, Donald Trump talks about narco-terrorism all the time. Queen Victoria was a narco-terrorist, okay? Now only I understood, but there was some kind of order under her. But if you take narco-terrorists, they seem to have order. But they have a code of conduct. Even narco-terrorists have their code of conduct. So they are two different things. And so if you take the nuclear agreements, MINKS agreements, and if you take how the British humiliated the Chinese for 100 years, and the Queen Victoria is a kind of narco-terrorist, okay? She used drugs, he used opium, not fentanyl or anything like that, but to destroy the country. So, maybe Ayatollah is also a narco-terrorist. Maybe that's why. So now Donald Trump has the pretext to invade Iran. He talks about nuclear deal. And the first nuclear deal done by located Barack Obama, it was not implemented. I mean, they didn't remove the sanctions. So all these deals by the West they are fraud. They are just to buy time. And this last year, when America and Israel hammered Iran lost a lot of their military people and scientists and a lot of civilians, about 1,500 or something like that. So Americans or the Western countries will have deals, but they will never honor these deals. It has been shown by MINKS agreement, the nuclear agreement with Iran and so forth. So I think there is some bombings or there is some explosions taking place in Iran. That means this crisis is coming, right? The war is coming, and my personal view is that you have to have this war. That signifies end of the rule of NACRO terrorist Queen Victoria. Okay, and then I saw few YouTube videos, but they are in English, and they are supposed to be some kind of speech by Hitler. So I don't trust whether those speeches were genuine things or they're manufactured speeches. How Hitler was criticized in Britain. So Britain has a long history of deception, and they use deception to rule the world. And the Americans also are talking now about we want to have a nuclear deal with Iran. No, it's not nuclear deal. The Americans want supremacy of Israel. Okay, they want to have supremacy in Israel in West Asia. And they are using this nuclear context and saying this, So if the Iranians go for a deal with America, I think they are lost. So most of the Iranian weapons are targeted at Israel, and the Israelis know that. Okay? So this war is very important. I think this war between Iran and America, it may not happen, but America has to act Iran. At least nominally even they have to act Iran, because this will signify the end of the rule of if this war happens, and some kind of war. That will signify the end of the rule of NACRO terrorist Queen Victoria, which is now about 520 years old at least. When I say Queen Victoria, I am using as a symbol there. And this NACRO terrorism is something I have a new interpretation of that, which may be 2-3 days old for me.